Howdy. So the setup today is kind of cooked. It's literally 2 green screens, a mic plugged into my computer, and a table and a chair. We're going to see how this goes. Probably not going to go good. So let's just get into it. Ugh, gotta sink into that chair. Okay, so let's just get down to it. Today we're going to be ranking all the Lego Ninjago suits from the Lego Ninjago show. Now, to be clear, that does not include any of the Lego set exclusive suits and not the movie suits, because I do not care to rank those suits, so I'm just not going to rank them. I got all my images from the Lego Ninjago wiki, and besides that, there's nothing really to say. Like, I know it's a terrible website with a terrible Wikipedia page, but it was like the easiest way to get all the images, so that's where I got them. I don't really care. So let's just get into it. So the first 2 suits we're going to rank are the trainee suits. These were used in the pilots for the show, and also like probably about half of season 1. And overall, these suits are very fundamentally sound. I really like how they all have a vibrant, distinct color, which some of the later suits don't actually have, so I really appreciate them having them here. I also really like the animal logos here, even though most suits in the show don't actually execute them well. I think that here in these suits, it's actually decently executed, and it's a really good idea, so I appreciate them introducing that. The details in these suits are also pretty good for like the early suits especially. I think that the ropes look pretty detailed, and even though if I'm not the biggest fan of them, I can appreciate detail in the suits. And particularly these mask pieces are phenomenal in my opinion. I really love these mask pieces. Every single suit from Ninjago has an insanely good mask piece, but these ones specifically, for some reason, I just like these ones more than most of them. I don't know why they only used these mask pieces for this suit and the next set of suits, but they did. And I really hope they bring it back to me because, like I said, these are some of my favorite mask pieces in the entire show. So I forgot to mention the tier names, so we're just going to go through them real quick. First one is a masterpiece, self-explanatory. You know, it's like the best of the best suits, cream of the crop. It's going to be like, you know, very few suits, but the best suits in the series. After that, you got quarter pounder with cheese, because much like a quarter pounder with cheese from McDonald's, these suits are just very delicious, and they're very delicious, but they don't have that much to them sometimes. After that, you got, fresh J's, because much like fresh J's, they're looking pretty crisp, but looking pretty good. Nothing to add to that one. Next one is unseasoned mashed potatoes. So, much like unseasoned mashed potatoes, the suits in this tier are going to be like mid, average, perfectly fine suits that are just kind of forgotten by the fandom or like not very memorable for the season that they're a part of. Next is going to be the bad tier, which is why it's called My Mental Health, because much like My Mental Health, these suits are cooked. And then finally, at the very bottom is going to be buns. And I already have a few ideas of what suits are going to be in buns, but we're going to save that for later. So now we got that out of the way, and I already talked about the season 1 suits, the trainee suits. I can put the trainee suits in the fresh J's tier, because I think they're looking pretty crisp, but they don't have enough going on in them to be, in the quarter pounder with cheese or the masterpiece tier. After that, we got what everyone thinks of as the original suits of the show, which is going to be like the weird dragon suits. Don't know what they're actually called. I just call them dragon suits. And I'm going to be fully honest, I think that these suits are definitely better than the trainee suits. They use the same mask piece, which, like I said, I really like that mask piece. Each one of them has a unique color, which, like I also said, these specific shades of these colors works really well for these suits. And they added the detail of each ninja's dragon on the suit, which I think is a really unique way of unifying each suit by giving it a unique style to it. I think that the gold accent, I believe this is the first time that they had a gold accent, but I believe the gold accent here was like kind of a test run for later suits in this season and season 2, and I think that it works really good here because it gives each suit like something more distinct about it and makes it look more visually appealing than just one solid color. It makes it very cool. I also really like how, specifically in season 1, less so in season 2 because season 2 has like weird lighting, but season 1, the reflections on these suits are actually really good for a 2011 like kids show, and so I really appreciate the good work in the reflections. I think all the suits here are honestly really good. The only one I don't like is Zane's suit, but that's also because I don't like most of Zane's suits in the show. I don't think they really fully ever figured out how his suit should look, and so because of that, none of his suits really feel like they're a definitive version of his suit. All the other ones, though, I think are really good suits, and because of that, they're going to go in the quarter pounder with cheese. So after that, about like 2/3 of the way through season 1, and for most of season 2, the ninja wear, in my opinion, some of the best suits they've ever had, which are these suits. I have no clue what they're called, do not care what they're called, but we all know these suits, we all love these suits for the most part. So let's just get into it. First off, these helmet pieces. These helmet pieces, in my opinion, are not quite as good as the season 1 helmet pieces and the pilot episode helmet pieces, but they're almost as good. So honestly, it's a take it or leave it for me. I just personally don't like the little, like the colored thing on their helmet. I think it looks kind of dumb, but that's just a personal preference.
I particularly like the colors here. It's Lloyd's, this is the first appearance of a Lloyd suit in the entire series, and Lloyd's suit here with this shade of green looks really, really good. I think that's kind of weird that him and Kai are the only ones that have like, you know, slightly like secondary colored sleeves and not the other ones, but it looks fine in the show and it looks fine in the Lego sets, especially since Jay here specifically has, in my opinion, his best suit in the entire series, which kind of follows that trend. His silver arm, or like metal plated arm, is one of my favorite details in the entire show when it comes to suit design, and because I think this is my favorite Jay suit. So Kai's suit, Jay's suit, and Lloyd's suits are really good, and the other two are just fine suits. I think that Zane's suit is kind of bad, honestly, but like I already said, all his suits are kind of bad, so this isn't really new. And Cole's suit here is perfectly adequate. It's a serviceable suit. I just don't really have an opinion on it, but the other three suits are so good that it will definitely carry this one into a really high tier, and so because of that, it's going to go into the quarter pounder with cheese category. So they wore their suits for a good chunk of season 1 and most of season 2, besides I believe the final 2 or 3 episodes, because in those episodes they went to the Temple of Elements, and that's where they got these suits. Now many people might not know this. I didn't know this until recently, but Lego Ninjago as a series was only meant to run for the first 2 seasons. They only brought it back because people wanted it back so much. So these suits were kind of meant to be the final suits that the ninja would ever get in the entire show, and you couldn't really tell that because they went all out on these suits. These suits are fantastic. They have so many good details that unify them, and the colors here are just simply great. I think that it's a really good choice to have more of each ninja's secondary color of gold or silver be implemented into the body of the suit more. Because with the prior suits, I thought that it was a decent idea, but it wasn't well implemented enough to feel like an actual fully thought out idea. Here it feels like a fully thought out idea. I love the robes. I love how these suits feel like robes on the ninja, specifically with I don't know what it's called, but that part of the suit, I'm kind of stupid. But I think that looks really good. And honestly, each and every single ninja suit looks really, really good. The only one I don't like is the golden ninja suit. And that's just because I don't think the golden suits ever look really good. I think in like the later seasons, like season 13, 14, 15, whenever they introduced those golden suits, they look pretty good there. But the early seasons just have tacky gold suits and not good ones. But honestly, that's such a small part of the suit set that I don't really care, honestly. Because every other one of these suits is so well designed. My only other real issue with these suits, besides the golden suit, which I just said, is that Lloyd's for some reason has shoulder pads. And this is kind of a trend that you'll see for most of seasons like 3, 4, 5, and 6, and even 7, is one of the ninja, or like all the ninja besides one, will have shoulder pads for some reason. And it just like kind of cuts off the unity that these suits should have, in my opinion. But that is a nitpick though. Overall, these suits are definitely like probably top 4 or 5-ish of all time for the entire series, and so because of that, they're going to go into the masterpiece tier. So moving on from there, we get to season 3 of the show, and season 3 is one of my least favorite seasons of the entire show, I'd say, up through season 10. I haven't watched the other stuff yet, I'm still watching it again, but up through season 10, season 3 is like one of my least favorite seasons, and it's in no small part due to these suits. These suits are just really weird in my opinion, because the base, like the chest of these suits, ranges from excellent design to bland and boring in my opinion. Like Lloyd and Jay's chest pieces specifically look phenomenal in this show. I think it's probably one of their best chess pieces in the entire series. I just really like the way that they designed them in this series. But then you get to like, Cole and Zane's chess pieces, which in my opinion don't look good at all. They do not look good on these characters, and they're almost too basic to the point that there is nothing distinct about them. I think that the half masks also are a bad choice for these suits. In general, I think that the original style kind of struggles with the hair pieces, and the half masks just really show that. Because like in the original seasons of the show, a lot of the time they can hide the bad hair pieces by putting on a mask. And specifically thinking of Kai in this case, his hair piece in the original 7 seasons, I don't care what people say, I think his hairpiece looks really, really bad in those original seasons, and so the more they hide it, the better it is, in my opinion. And these suits just kind of embrace the hairpieces with a half mask, and so I think the half mask in this specific case, and in season 4's case, which we'll get to in a minute, don't work well. I don't think it's necessarily like the worst. I think that there are definitely some worse, choices for like suit design in the series, but it definitely just isn't, it isn't great. This has the same issue as the previous suit with Lloyd, very different characters. Lloyd having the shoulder pads, I don't know why he does in this season and the last season, but he does for some reason, and it just like kind of looks weird, even in the show, in my opinion. So because of that, these suits are definitely the worst ones so far. They're not bad, they're just like mid. So they're going to go in unseasoned mashed potatoes. Okay, so after that you get the season 4 suits, and season 4 as a season is actually a really solid season. I don't think it's like a top 5-ish season, but it certainly is a very solid season. And these suits for the first half of the season definitely kind of reflect that. These suits are not great suits, but they're just very solidly designed suits. I think that they pulled off the half mask look better in these suits than the previous suits because each chest piece is more unifying. I think that's a really good idea to have text going down from, you know, their shoulder to their hip. I think that's a really good detail for all of them to kind of unify. And I think that the colors here are specifically really, really well done. I also like how they don't have sleeves. I think that sleeveless ninja suits look really good for the most part. And so that's a good detail. I think the half masks are a bad choice, and they would definitely look better with hoods and sleeves. But these definitely aren't bad suits, and they're definitely better than the season 3 suits. So I think that these are also going to go in unseasoned mashed potatoes, but it's going to be like above the above the season 3 suits in that tier. So I actually forgot to talk about the gold suits in season 3, which kind of shows you how forgettable they are. I'm going to be fully honest here. This was a bad episode in my opinion, and these are bad suits in my opinion. Like I said before with the golden ninja suit, I think that any kind of gold in the original seasons looks really, really tacky if it isn't done really well. And these suits are not done well because they're just the season 3 suits, which are already kind of bad suits with a bad texturing on top of them with the gold. So because of that, they're just really bad suits, and honestly, they're pretty much forgotten by the fandom and the show itself. And so because of that, they're gonna go in the buns tier. So that was a little bit of a detour, but we're gonna get back to season 4 now with the season 4 suits from like around like the second half of the season. With the jungle suits, and I think that the jungle suits are the start of what I would call probably the renaissance of the Ninjago suit designs, because they kind of figured everything out with these suits. So first off, you might notice that Zane actually has one of these suits where he didn't with the first set of season 4 suits. That's like a story reason, so I don't really care that he doesn't have one of those suits. But all these suits are excellently designed. I really like how they have like a little symbol emblem on top of their mask. I think that's a really good detail to add something to the mask just to make it more unique. That isn't the stupid little the tri-piece that's like the gold or silver. Because personally, I think that like those can look good, you know, with the robe suits from the end of season 2. But I just don't think they have the same style as the rest of the suits do. So I think that having a little symbol instead is a much better idea. I also like how each, you know, animal logo is still in the suits. It's just right here on the suit, which is much better because it kind of just like looks and works a lot better here. I think that each suit has a really good color, except Zane's suit. Now, like I've already said twice now, Zane has really bad suits throughout the entire show pretty much, and this is the perfect example of that. I don't know why they made him a silver suit in this season. Like, it doesn't look bad, it's just an odd choice in this season. Because like he is the titanium ninja, but he's also the white ninja, and so I think implementing more of the white ninja aspects into the suit would have been a lot better idea. I also, and this will be something that I hate pretty much until season 8 when they actually fix his faceplate. I hate the fact that they gave him the blue tech faceplate instead of his regular one. I just think it looks really bad, and adding like bits of blue to his suit just like complicates the color palette too much, and so it doesn't look good because of that. I also think that Cole's suit kind of looks meh. That's because Cole's suits always kind of look matte in the original seasons of this show, and so I can't really hold it against that. Because Kai, Jay, and Lloyd's suits are so well designed that these are honestly going to go into the Fresh J's category. So after this, you get to season 5, and season 5 is probably, at least so far where I've watched season 10, it's probably my second favorite season of the show. It's just a really well executed idea, plot, character development. It's just excellent all around. And these suits are kind of an example of how they evolved their style throughout the show. These suits are the first time that they used a black base with the ninja's primary color as a secondary one in the entire show. And I think it's a really good idea. I don't think it is necessarily the best idea. I think that having a solid color with a secondary color is just like a shade of the primary is a better idea, but having a black base is certainly not a bad idea. I think that almost all the ninja suits in this season look really, really good. The only ones I dislike, honestly, are Zane's and Cole's. And it's not even that Cole's looks bad necessarily. I think that his suit is perfectly fine. I just think that having, you know, a light gray on black is kind of just like a perfectly average color combo that could be better. But his color palette's kind of cooked in the entire show, so it doesn't really matter. And then Zane's suit, we've already been over a million times. This is better than the season 4 suit though, because it's not silver. It's black and white. I think that is definitely better, but I hate his faceplate so much that it honestly cooks his entire design. Kai, Jay, and Lloyd suits, like the rest of the series, are really well designed. I think that red, blue, and green are just really good base colors, and so they always get the best suits, even with their bad designs. They look really good here. Nia's suit in particular, I love Nia's suit in this season, and anything before season 8, because they use the maroon and the light blue color palette. Now, I think that maroon and light blue, while they are not technically the same color, like all the other ninjas in primary versus secondary color, it does look way better than what they could have done, which is just like, blue and blue or like red and red, which we already have. So I think that this is a smart way to distinguish her from the other ninja, and I think that's a really good color combination. I think in this season it looks a little bit weird because it's not like exactly the same color as all the other ninja suits, because the base is maroon here and not black, and she has a gold shoulder pads instead of the the black ones. But I don't really care, because in universe, like in the plot, there's a reason for it, and I think that this suit looks phenomenal, and it's one of my favorite suit designs in the entire show. So because of that, I'm gonna put it in the top tier, because it's my tier list. So these go in masterpiece. After this, we get my favorite suits personally in the entire show, and it's probably because it's my favorite season in the entire show, which is season 6. Now, I'm just gonna have full disclosure. I'm incredibly biased towards these suits, because I think that the lighting in this show, in this season, I think the lighting in this season makes these suits look the best in the actual show. But I don't really care. I also think that they're the best design suits. So first off, these are the first seasons to have the dual molded mask pieces, where it's like the black base with the colored secondary, which I just think is probably my favorite type of mask they have in the show. Maybe besides like the primary versus the secondary one, which we'll see with the next one. But these are definitely at least tied for my first favorite mask piece in the show. I also think that the Air Jitsu, like the Air Jitsu emblem, is a really unique idea for the show, and I think it's really well executed, because it kind of adds unity with like the Air Jitsu thing and then their logo, like their animal logo. So I like how it makes each one distinct but unified at the same time. And I also think that the little buckles like on this side of their suit look really, really good. I just think that the buckles look really good in this season. I think everything about these suits looks really good. The lighting makes them look really good. The season is like my favorite, so I'm going to be biased towards them, obviously. Don't have many issues. Only issue is that Zane still has his annoying little digital faceplate, which I will continue to hate until they take it away, and it will definitely mark his suit down. But other than that, honestly, these are perfect suits. These are pretty much perfect suits. Actually, I take that back. I have one issue. Nia's suit doesn't really implement her aqua, like tealy light blue enough. I think that this is I believe this is the last season for a long time where they go with that maroon and that light blue color palette for her, which I think is a huge mistake to take that away from her. But in this season, it's honestly pretty much fine, because it's mostly black and maroon with still a little bit of light blue on her little Air Jitsu logo. So it still passes, in my opinion, with the color palette. And it still is probably my second favorite Nia design in the entire show. So because of that, it's still going to get in the masterpiece tier. It's definitely going to be the second best one in that, or not the second. Sorry, it's going to be the first best one in that tier, seconded by the Temple of Elements suits. So after that, we get to the last season. Oh nope, sorry, I skipped the Day of the Departed suits. That's my mistake. I'm going to be honest, I did not watch that special because it's not on Netflix, and I just watched, or I got a synopsis online. So I don't really know what happens in that special. But I will say, these suits, I actually really like these suits, surprisingly. When I first saw them, I was like, oh, those are kind of ugly. I was wrong. So first off, they did another dual molded faceplate here, or not faceplate, sorry, helmet piece here. But these ones are interesting because while the previous two seasons, or at least season 6, I can't remember season 5, even though I just looked at it, they used a black base with their primary color as like the secondary. These ones use a secondary of their primary color and then their primary color, which is definitely a different faceplate, and I'm not sure I like it more than the black base one, but it does look honestly really, really good. And for Nia specifically, I think it looks better. So it's honestly take it or leave it for me. And so you got that right. And I forgot to mentions with the season 6 suits, but I will mention it now because it applies to this suit as well. This is where they started messing with like one shoulder pad, and I think that this suit and the season 6 suits have the best shoulder pads of any suit in the entire series. I think that looks great on the Legos and in the show, and so that's a really big bonus for these suits. So these suits have the good shoulder pads, tied for the first best helmets, and then they also have really good bases with the the original the trainee suit bases. They definitely aren't the best bases, but they're really nostalgic bases, and they do look very solid, especially with everything else going on with these suits. So because of that, I really like these ones. My only issue with these sets of suits, honestly, is that Zane's looks really bad. I cannot repeat this enough times. I think that Zane's suits always look bad in this show, besides for like a few exceptions with like season 8 and 9 and 10 maybe, and then like some of the later seasons. They pretty much always look bad. I think that these ones look really particularly bad because they tried to mix like the black and white suit designs with the silver ones, which just doesn't work because they gave him silver secondary color, or sorry, gray secondary color with gray sleeves with his white base. And so because I just don't think it looks really good, like even if it was Zane's original faceplate, I still would dislike this suit. And so because of that, I can't say that these are definitely like, masterpiece tier, but they're definitely quarter pounder with cheese. I think I would take these ones over the I think I would take these suits over the like the suits that everyone knows with Jay having the silver arm. Don't know what they're called. But I think I would take these suits over those ones, and so because of that, they're going to go at the very top of quarter pounder with cheese.
Howdy, fellas. This is day 2 of filming. Same setup as before, probably even more scuffed. So let's just get into it.
Okay, so we're going to leave off where we were before with the Season 7 suits of the show. Now, the Season 7 suits, much like the entirety of Season 7, are quite disappointing. So, I think that these suits are actually probably some of the worst in all of the Lego Ninjago franchise, and they have a lot of issues. So first off, let's start with the helmet piece, the mask piece, whatever, right? So first off, they tried doing like a dual molded look like the last 2 suits have done, which in those cases they definitely worked, but here they don't work. And I think I know why. So one Kai's is just like a weird secondary shade of red. It's like a very weird shade because it's dark enough to where it's distinct, but it's not dark enough to where it like stands out enough. And so it just looks like his helmet is almost like dirty in a lot of the scenes. Cole's helmet is, kind of bad, but I think that most of his helmets from this era look really kind of meh. Zane's is also bad. Lloyd and Jay's are fine, and then Nia's is definitely the worst in my opinion. Because this is really the first season where they fully embraced, instead of doing maroon and light blue for Nia, they did light blue and gray. And I just think that color palette for her specifically is a really bad choice, because it makes her not only less distinct from the other ninjas, but also it makes her suits in general just look less unique, and it makes them look less colorful and interesting to look at. So I think that her helmet piece is also really bad because it uses light blue as the base, and then gray, which isn't even close to the light blue, as the secondary color. Beyond just that, though, I think that Zane's suit, like every other Zane suit I've talked about so far pretty much, looks kind of bad. I think that this one specifically is probably the worst of the suits we've talked about so far because it implements the titanium ninja kind of colors, the white ninja kind of colors, and then gives them black arms for some reason. Now, I know they give him black arms here because every other ninja has the black arm pieces, so it looked weird if Zane didn't have them. But I still think it's a weird choice to emphasize the more silvery titanium color instead of just embracing the black and white color that they did in season 5. And it honestly worked in that season. I think that Zane's suit in season 5 is one of his better suits in this entire era. I think that his faceplate in this season is a lot better. That they finally moved away from the stupid like digital blue faceplate and they gave him just this regular faceplate. So I think that is definitely an improvement. But other than that, his suit is kind of the worst one so far. In general, I think these suits kind of have a weird combination of not enough detail and too much detail. Like Kai's suit is oddly detailed for not having that much going on. Like, what is it? Just some armor and straps. It's not that interesting to look at. But there's so much detail to the point that it's too much. It overwhelms your senses when you're first watching the season. I think a great example of balancing it well is Jay's suit. While I think that this is definitely one of Jay's weaker suits of the entire series, it's definitely the best one of this set of suits specifically, because it's detailed enough to where it's interesting to look at, but there's not too many details to where it's overwhelming for your senses. Overall, these suits are just kind of a mess of design, much like the season itself, and they're definitely probably my least favorite suits of all time, maybe besides the season 3 golden suits. So because they're definitely going to go in the buns tier. So next up is going to be the season 8 suits, and these are the first suits that use the new Ninjago character designs from the movie. And I know that the movie designs in general are quite controversial among the fan base, but I'm just going to be honest here, I really like most of the redesigns that they did to the Ninjago characters for the movie and for the show, beyond the movie's release. So let's just talk about each one because they're kind of important to talk about the character designs as they relate to the suit designs. So in general, I think that they did a really, really good job of redesigning these characters for a more modern audience in a more cartoony art style. So everyone can agree that Lloyd's redesign, from voice redesign to character redesign to suit redesign, is the best one. I think Lloyd here is unequivocally like a excellent, near perfect redesign for his character. So we're not going to talk about that one much. I will say I like almost all the other changes they made here. The other ones I don't like are Kai and Zane, which we'll get to in a minute. So I know that some people don't really like Jay's redesign here, but I really actually quite enjoy his redesign. I think that removing his little, eyebrow slit, like so many people have mentioned, was a bad choice. But other than that, I think that his redesign is excellent here. I think that him having freckles, while it does make him look younger, it kind of fits his character. And the messy hair also emphasizes the fact that he's kind of the jokester of the team. So I think that his redesign is definitely very well done. Cole's redesign is definitely one of the better ones, but I'm not sure it's as good as Jay's or Lloyd's. I think that his faceplate, like his face redesign, is definitely better, but I'm not sure I love his hairpiece as much. I think that his hairpiece, specifically in season 8, is not as good as it was in the original seasons of the show, and so I would give his redesign like a 6 out of 10. Nia's redesign is also great here. I think that her original hairpiece was horrible, and it honestly was one of the worst parts of her entire character in seasons 1 through 7. And so her having a new hairpiece is a lot better. I don't care if her hairpiece is now the same as Pixel's. Pixel's hairpiece is, in my opinion, different enough because it's textured differently to where you barely even notice it in the show. And talking about it as if they're the same exact hairpiece is disingenuous, in my opinion. So I think her redesign is also really well done. Now we get to the more iffy ones, where I think they're kind of on the border between okay and just bad. So first, let's get to Kai's. Kai's redesign here is certainly a choice. So Kai's design in the original show very much conveyed the fact that he was, the aggressive one on the team, who had that very fiery energy to him. I don't think this redesign conveys that very well, but I also don't think that the character that Kai is post season 7 is that same character at all. I think that his hairpiece from the original 7 seasons, what showed his character very well, it was a really, really old hairpiece that needed to be changed. And so I like his hairpiece now. His hairpiece now is still a little bit too tall for my opinion, and it looks a little bit weird, but it's the best for what they could do. And so I think that his redesign is certainly okay. I think that his faceplate is definitely a downgrade, and I think that his old faceplate would have been the perfect combination of new hair, old face. But his redesign is take it or leave it for me. Then we get to Zane's. Zane's redesign here is really, really bad in my opinion. So in general, I think that his titanium look is the best of his 2 redesigns, because he has the titanium look and then the more human look. I think that his titanium look, while still being definitely a downgrade from the original 7 seasons of the titanium look, it definitely is not the worst. It's passable. It looks decent. I don't think it looks as intricately designed in tech base as it could, but I think it's a fine redesign. His human design is where I have the issue, and it all comes down to his hairpiece. You see, his hairpiece in the original definitely sat on top of his head, but they had little sideburns that made it look like it was actually on his head. And the new art style, it just sits on his head, and so it looks really dumb, and it very much looks like his hairpiece was just plopped on top of his headpiece. And so I think that his redesign in this season and later seasons, because of that, just doesn't work for me. So now that we talked about the redesigns for the characters, we can actually get into the suits, because oh my god, I just yapped about them for 2.5 minutes probably. So the season 8 redesign suits are some of my favorite redesign suits. The season 8 suits are some of my favorite suits in the entire series. I'm just gonna be honest here. I think that they kind of balance the perfect combination of detail, color, and intricacies. So first, let's start with the helmet pieces, as we always have. The helmet pieces here are probably some of my favorite helmet pieces. I think that having the base color be like the ninja's main color, and then the little black strip with the logo be the secondary, is a really smart choice, because every helmet kind of needs something like that. And while other helmets definitely tried that with a little icon or their symbol, it didn't work as well because it was too detailed. So having just a piece of a little emblem definitely works the best. I also think that having the shoulder pad on their shoulder is definitely good detail. Like I said, the season 6 suits that do that, and then the Day of the Departed suits that also have that. That's one my favorite detail of any ninja suit, and so having that back is a great detail unequivocally in my opinion. Other than that, though, I think that just generally each suit is distinct enough to make it unique in its own way, but they just feel very unified. So I'll give you an example. Cole's suit having the shoulders ripped off. To me, that just shows that he's the very strong one of the team. Zane's having more geometric design shows that he's the more geometric ninja of the team. Kai's having the more, like straight across, just like flat ones, kind of shows that he can be like a very uniform, disciplined kind of person. And so because I think that each suit is really good in its own right. The other one I don't like, honestly, out of this entire set is Nia's suit. So for one, they completely got rid of her maroon color like at all. At least season 7 suit had a little bit. This one has none. And I think that it's even worse than the season 7 suit because of that, because that's just an ugly shade of gray. Also, the stupid skirt thing is from the movie, and I think it was a bad choice in the movie to have her have a skirt, and it's a bad choice in the show. It just looks bulky and it looks dumb. I'm really glad they got rid of it after one season and we never saw it again. Overall, these suits though are really, really good. Probably some of my favorite suits in the series. They have a lot of small things that add up to make them not in the top tier, but they're definitely going to be in that second tier quarter pounder with cheese at the very top. So after season 8, we get the season 9 suits, which are the hunted suits, and I think that the hunted suits are about equal to the Sons of Garmadon suits. It's honestly take it or leave it. They're pretty similar in design style and design language. It's just which one do you prefer more? How was it executed? So I will personally say that I like the season 8 suits more than the season 9 suits, but the season 9 suits definitely have details I like more than the season 8 suits. So for one, I think that the helmet piece is definitely worse in these suits than the last ones. That's kind of why I prefer the Sons of Garmadon ones over these hunted ones. These ones implemented a black secondary piece underneath their like nose area, which I think is definitely a unique detail to give the masks more detail and bring them closer to the season 5, 6, and 7 suits. But I just don't think it looks as good with the more rounded helmet pieces as opposed to the more like traditional helmet pieces that we all think of when we think of Ninjago. So I just don't like those helmet pieces as much. I also think that in general, the details on these suits are just like the details on these suits are a little bit better than the last ones, but I just don't think they come together as well to make a more unified look to them, and that's fine, because ultimately, they're two halves of one tail, you know what I mean? Because like 4 of these people are stuck in the realm of the Onis and Dragons, and 2 of them are stuck in Ninjago, so it makes sense. I'm going to talk about them separately because of that. So let's talk about the Ninjago ones first. Lloyd and Nia's here very much feel unified in their language of like, they're on the run, they're trying to survive, they're very utilitarian in their design language. They have a lot of straps, they have a lot of small details, they have a lot of lines on them. They look very well designed for what they are. I like Nia's suit here. I will say I think that giving her more of a dark gray and then black color combo instead of just gray entirely is a lot better of a choice. And so I think her suit here in season 9 doesn't really look a lot better than the season 8 and 7 suits. So I will give them that. I think that Lloyd's suit here is probably a little bit worse than the season 8 suit, but it's like close. And then we get to the other ones. So first off, I think that Cole having a ripped, shoulder thing is really cool detail to show how long they've been there and how he's the one that's been going out there and getting cuts and scrapes from adventuring. I think that Zane's is probably fine. I missed the detail from having a more geometric design, but that's fine. It makes sense in the context of the story. Kai missing a shoulder is a very good detail in my opinion. I really like that detail. I also like how he's the only one that has the shoulder pad left out of the 4 that are in the realm of the Oni and Dragon. That's good detail. And look at the J suit. I won't lie, this is probably one of my least favorite J designs, and it's not even because it's bad. J consistently has the best suits in my opinion in the entire series, maybe second to Lloyd. But here in my opinion, this is his worst look just because the chest piece is too overly detailed. It looks like he was meant to be part of the Nia and Lloyd's part of the story, but he wasn't. And so because that his suit doesn't really match the other 3 that he's with. I also don't like the fact that he's the one that has a double shoulder pad. I think that in general, the double shoulder pad is just a worse look than the single one, and so him having it and then being the only one that has it just makes him look, kind of goofy in my opinion. And so because of that, I'm definitely gonna put these below the Sons of Garmadon suits, but I will acknowledge that they're about the same in actual quality, so they're gonna be in the same tier, just right behind them. Okay, then we get to season 10, and this is about the point where I just stopped watching Ninjago, or I don't remember it very well. But I will say, these suits, honestly, are probably my second favorite suits in the entire series. I don't remember seeing these in season 10, but I think that they are definitely the best suits from this entire era of Ninjago, so far at least. And in general, they kind of take design language from both the new era and the old era. So let's just get into it. So first off, we're going to talk about, the helmet pieces. These helmet pieces are kind of a perfect combination of the old helmet pieces and the new helmet pieces. Because they got the more, circular language and design of the new helmet pieces, but they still got, like, the bulkiness and the style of the old helmet pieces. So it's kind of a mix of the two, and it works really well in my opinion. I think it works really well, too, especially because they kind of do the primary-secondary thing again, but they actually execute it well this time, unlike season 7 when they last did it. I think, like, for example here, Kai's is really good because there's, like, the colors are actually distinct. Jay's always looks good. Lloyd's looks really good. Cole's looks good for the first time in forever because they're not using a gray secondary. They kind of learned their lesson and they gave him a brown secondary color. And so his suit design is more, black and brown now. And so his helmet design is actually really good because of that. I also think that Zane's is kind of a perfect combination of the titanium, like, the silvery design and the white design. And so giving him the white the white headband around the white base is a really good idea. I think that Nia's here specifically is probably my favorite Nia suit that they've had in this series. Maybe minus the season 5 one when they first introduced her suits, but this is a really good one because they finally went back to that maroon and that light blue color palette, which I've been begging them for since season 6 or whenever they got rid of it. And I think it works really, really well here because of that. I think that emphasizing the maroon over the light blue is a really good choice here. And so because of that, all these suits kind of look very, uniform in style, even if Nia's suit does not really technically have, two of the same colors. It's two different colors, but it still looks good here. The only suit I really don't like from this set, honestly, is Lloyd's golden suit, and that's just because, like I said, when we first talked about the golden suits, I think that the golden suits in general look really, really tacky, and this is no exception to that rule. It looks tacky, but I haven't watched the season fully enough or remember it enough to remember how long it's in the show, so I'm not going to talk about that much. I think that these are probably the second best suit designs behind the season 6 ones and above the Temple of Elements suits. Okay, now we get into season 11. And season 11 is really where I stopped remembering what happened in the show. I think I watched through 10, and then I just thought that's where it ended, and I never watched anything past 11. So this is totally new to me, but this is the season 11 suits, and I believe that these are the base suits for many of the seasons through 15 until they get their specialized suits for that season. So that's kind of cool. Because I believe this is the first time that's happened since season 2, where it's like the base suit for a season. So I will say though, these suits are certainly very well designed. I do not like them as much though as I did the season 8, 9, or 10 suits. I just don't think they look quite as good. So first off, I think that their helmet pieces are definitely a little bit of a downgrade. Even though they definitely have basically the same design as the season 10 suits, immediately I'm going to say here, Nia's suit is not as good and her helmet piece is not as good because it does not have the maroon. I don't know why they keep flip-flopping between maroon and light blue and gray, but they need to stick to one of them because her suits are always really good or really bad. So her helmet piece is immediately really bad in my opinion. Also, I think that having, instead of just like the little symbol, they have like a bolded, like almost that same symbol but like very bold on the helmet piece is kind of a bad choice because it's almost too much to where it's like it sticks out too much. So I think that the helmet pieces here are definitely the worst ones that we've seen in quite a while for the series. Other than that though, I think that these are not poorly designed suits at all. I actually kind of like many of the elements involved in these suits. For one, I think that they having shoulder pads in general is a really good detail. I like how these ones are on the opposite shoulder as the ones that were in the season 6, Day of the Departed, and season 8 and 9. So I think having it on the opposite shoulder is a unique way. It's a fun way to like distinguish it from those seasons. And I think that these ones actually are probably my second favorite shoulder piece designs besides the season 6 ones. Because the other ones on the show, they were definitely good, but they were like kind of weird looking, where the season 6 ones had like a perfect combination of like looking flat while also detail, and these ones are very round, which I like that design language for these specific designs. So overall, I think that the base of these suits is pretty good, like with that. I think that the details here are kind of like weird because they're not very detailed. I think that they're less detailed than the season 8 suits, honestly. And I don't like the details that they do have here. Like, I just don't think that the bases are fundamentally as well designed as the season 8 suits. They're kind of worse in my opinion. The only one that's better is definitely Nia's. I think that Nia's suit design here, like the base of it, we're like disregarding the color because the color is horrible here. The actual details here are probably the best ones we've had in a pretty long time, disregarding the season 10 suits and the season 5 suits. They're probably the best ones. I also think that's weird that Lloyd doesn't have gloves on this suit. That pisses me off. So it's just going to get marked down for that. I don't care if it's petty, it just pisses me off. And then Zane having blue hands. I think that him having black hands would have been really weird looking. So I kind of am conflicted here because on one hand, it would look weird if he had black hands, pun, but it would look weird if he had black hands, but also it looks weird if he has the blue hands. So I don't know how to feel about this, but overall these suits are really weird, and honestly I don't like the fact that they are the base suit for so many seasons because they're not the best suits in the series. So because of that, they're going to definitely go like kind of high up there, but honestly I'm not even sure I like them more than the I like them more than the dragon suits. So I'm going to move down the dragon suits to Fresh J's. these will be at the very bottom of Quarter Pounder with cheese, and then the dragon suits from season 1 will definitely be at the very top of Fresh J's. So I have never watched season 12. I have no clue what happens in season 12, so I'm just going to be basing this purely on how they look. So let me just look at them. Immediately I'm going to say I think that having the weird dot design is kind of cool, because it gives each one a unique pattern, minus J for some reason, but gives each one of them a unique pattern, while also giving them, a distinct, it gives them a unique pattern while giving them a unifying element between them all. I also think that these shoulder pieces look pretty cool. I think that I love when they wear shoulder pieces in the show, and these ones look like they're pretty good shoulder pieces. I think that the helmet pieces are definitely actually surprisingly, I really like these helmet pieces. I think that they're actually really, really well designed helmet pieces. They definitely fit the season, it looks like, from this, and I think that in general they would be pretty decent regular Ninjago helmet pieces. Honestly, I don't have much of an issue with them. I like the fact that it looks like there's like a little screen that shows their symbol up top. That's kind of cool. Each of their faceplates, I'm going to disregard the faceplate because it looks like they're getting like a tech faceplate for this specific season, so I don't really care. And in general, I think the colors are pretty good. I think that Kai and Jay's suits, no surprise, look good. Lloyd's looks good. I think that does not look like Nia, that looks like Zane's. Zane's looks pretty cool. I actually kind of like Zane's the most here, surprisingly for once. Because in most of them, Zane's is like a weird combination of like silver and gray and white. Here it kind of works because it's more of like a silver, black, and blue, while the other ones are more of a solid. So him having like, the distinct like two halves almost is a really unique design language that I really like for his suit specifically. Overall, when I first saw these suits, I'd hate them way more than I actually hate them. I actually kind of like these suits. I can't rank them too high because they're kind of weird suits, so I can't rank them too high, but I do like them. And I kind of like them more than the half mask suits from season 4, 3, and 4. I think that they have more unique details on them, and so because of that, they're going to go at the very bottom of Fresh J's. Moving on to 13, we got the Master of the Mountain suits, or whatever that season's called. Like I said, I haven't watched that season, so I have no clue. So on the Ninjago wiki, they included Master Wu's suit here. I don't know if that means that he's like an honorary ninja for the season or whatever, but I thought I'd at least include his design. I'm not sure I'm going to like include it as like part of the ranking, but it just should be there. So I will say immediately, these suits are very, very different than the regular Ninjago suits, much like the season 12 suits. I think that I probably like these ones honestly more than the season 12 suits though, just because they stick more to that, like, the design language that is traditional to the series, and also I just think that the base of these suits is actually kind of more interesting, honestly, probably. So first off, I think that it's kind of interesting choice to bring back the secondary color of like gold or silver for each of the ninja. That's not something they've done since I believe season 3, honestly, or season 2, sorry. And so I think that's a really interesting design choice here. I don't hate it though, honestly. I never hated it then, and I think it's cool kind of now. I think that these suits look pretty good. I think that the helmet pieces they're actually pretty well designed for being like night themed, it almost looks like. And so because of that, I actually will appreciate the mask pieces. I think that them having, different metallic arms is a really, really interesting choice. Really, really interesting choice that I actually personally love. Jay gets the silver arm just like the classic days, which, is one of my favorite details. Kai gets the gold arms on both, which I'm not a fan of. I think that having one arm and be metallic versus both arms is a more unique choice, which is why I think that it works better with, in this case, Jay, Cole, Lloyd, and Nia, as opposed to what looks like Zane and Kai. I think that the one looks better than the two, but like it's take it or leave it. I just like the one more than the two. Sorry, and so I think that's a definitely interesting choice. It looks like just looking at these suits that the base is actually the season 11 base suits, which is definitely an interesting choice. I'm not the biggest fan of the season 11 suits like we just went over, so it's definitely an interesting choice. And I think that the details here are actually kind of cool. I think that my favorite one, honestly, like details wise, is probably Zane's, like the little like rope strap thing. That's a very good detail. The other ones are just fine, but it's not like the best suits. I think these are like perfectly average suits. But I think I like these. I think I like these less. No, I like these ones more than the season 12 suits. So the Prime Empire ones are gonna go down to unseasoned mashed potatoes. No. They're gonna go at the very bottom of Fresh J's. And then we're gonna put the season 13 Master of the Mountain ones right under the season 4 jungle suits. So first up for season 14 is the island suits. I think at least I think that's what they're called. And I'm not gonna lie, these suits are probably, I know I keep changing this, but these suits are probably my second favorite, ahead of the season 10 suits and behind the season 6 suits. And honestly, they're even kind of competing with the season 6 suits now that I look at them. So first off, earlier with seasons 3 and 4, I said that the half mask look does not work well with those suits, but works well with the redesigns. And I stand by that, because if you look at these suits, I think that these suits have much better hair pieces, and so having the more unique hair pieces definitely fits these suits better with the half masks. So first off, let's talk about Kai, Jay, Cole, and Lloyd's hair pieces. I think that having the bandana hair pieces are the best hair pieces that the Ninja have ever had in the entire show. I love the detail of having the hair pieces, because not only, provides a little bit of realism where they would tie up their hair or put a sweatband on, but it also kind of shows the hair texture that each ninja has because of how the hair falls. For example, Lloyd's is probably my favorite one here. Lloyd's or Cole's. Lloyd's is probably my favorite one though here, because his hair falls in front of the headband, showing how his hair naturally swoops, which is a really good detail. I also think that in general the suit designs themselves are a lot better here. I think that having the shoulder pad is a really good detail. Again, I've been over this a million times, but I love the shoulder pad, so that's a good detail. And I think that in general, these suits are just very well detailed. I think that Kai's is probably the most boring here. Then Nia's is still horrible. I don't like her suits still. I think that giving her the silver is still a bad choice. But other than that, I think that they're all good. Cole's is a little bit iffy, but Jay's, Lloyd's, and Zane's are all really, really well-designed suits, because they have good details mixed with feeling like they're actually lived in, and then also just being well-designed suits with good design language that tie them all together. And so because of that, I think that these are some of the best suits in the entire series. I also really appreciate the fact that the half masks here, this is just an animation thing, but in the original seasons, when they pull down their half mask, it would just disappear. Where in the newer seasons, because they have more budget and they have better animation, it sits around their neckline, which I think is a really good detail, because it makes it just feel more realistic. And I also really like how that looks on almost all of these designs. The only one I don't like that look on is honestly Zane's. And Zane's suit here is honestly, he has a really good suit in this season. This is one of his few times where he has an excellent suit. And so because of that, I think that this suit actually is going to get up there in the masterpiece tier. It's going to get up there right in between the season 10 suits and the season 6 suits, I think, for now. But honestly, it could go for the number 1 spot here. And then just looking at this tier list, it's a little bit top heavy, so I think I'm going to move some stuff around. I think I'm going to move down the season 5 suits into the quarter pounder with cheese category, just because I don't like them as much. Actually, no, I'm going to move down the temple suits. I'm going to move down. I don't like the temple suits as much. Looking at it. Okay, so the temple suits are going to go at the very top of quarter pounder with cheese, and then I'm going to move some stuff around. So then we have those in those category, and then I think I'm going to move the season 11 suits down to fresh J's, because looking at them now, I don't actually like them that much, so we're going to move all these over. And then looking at this fresh J's tier now, I actually kind of don't like these original suits that much. They're classic, but they're going to go down here. I still prefer those ones over the season. I prefer them over both the season 3 and the 4 suits, so they're going to go above those, but just rearranging it so we have more space in the top end of the tier list now for more suits later, because I already know some of these suits later, and they get a lot better later. Howdy fellas, this is day 3 of ranking all the Lego Ninjago outfits. Let's just get done with it. Right on the floor. Okay, so let's get back to it. So I think we left off on season 15, I think. It's been a couple days, so I don't quite remember. I think it was season 15 though. So I'm just gonna rank the other suits that I think are before Dragon's Rising, which is the Legacy half mask and the Legacy golden suits. So let's just start with the Legacy half mask suits. So I'm not gonna lie, these are my favorite half mask suits in the entire series. Like I kind of said with the original ones, I think that the main reason they don't work is because all the ninja have really bad hair pieces for the most part in the original seasons. And so, giving them updated hair pieces with the half masks looks really good, because, the newer hair pieces, except for Kai's. I don't like Kai's that much, but, I think it's still an improvement. I just don't like it that much. I think that it's a lot better here. because of that. So these suits are definitely a lot better. I also think that the general design is a lot better because these are based on the season 4 versions of the half mask suits, I believe. While the original season 4 suits are certainly well designed, they almost feel too similar in design, where it just feels like they made one design and then changed the color. These ones are a lot better because they feel uniform in style and direction, but they all feel like they have their own little details and touches where they don't all feel the same. So because of that, I like these ones a lot more than the original half mask suits. And honestly, looking at it, I kind of like them more than a lot of the suits in Fresh J's. So if I'm going to be honest here, I think I'm going to put them right under the season 8 and 9 suits in Quarter Pounder with Cheese. After that, we got the only other Legacy suit that I haven't talked about yet, I believe, which is the Legacy Golden suits. And these are the golden suits I was talking about way before when I was ranking the season 1 and 2 suits, when I said that for the most part the gold suits look bad. Because I actually really like these gold suits for some reason. I think that they overall are kind of a mess, but I like individual aspects of these ones. Like for one, I think that Kai's here, he has a really good golden suit here. I like the mask piece being gold and red, that's a good detail. I think Nia's is a really good golden suit also. Not sure why she has it in the show, but I haven't gotten there yet. But I think hers is good. I think that Cole's is also a really good half mask piece. Or not half mask, sorry. I think his is a really good gold suit overall. I think it's really well done. Jay's I'm not the biggest on because I think that the season 12 Prime Empire masks are just like, they work for that season, they look good in the context of that season, but they don't look good outside of that context, so I'm not sure how I feel about them. I have no clue what's going on with Zane's, but Zane's always looks bad, so I just gave up on his looking good a while ago. And then get to Lloyd's. And I think that this is Lloyd's best looking golden ninja suit of all time here. They perfected it for making it a little bit green, a little bit golden, and actually making it look good when he doesn't have a helmet on, or sorry, a mask on. So I think that because these golden suits are certainly not great, but they're pretty good golden suits. So I think they're going to go above the... I'm going to put them in the Fresh J's tier. I'm going to put them underneath the Season 4 Jungle suits, but above the Season 13 Mountain, whatever they're called, Master of the Mountain suits. Okay, when I said that those were the last Legacy suits, I lied. I'm pretty sure there's 2 more sets of Legacy suits, so we're just going to go over them real quick. These are the other golden suits I was thinking of when I said that the later season golden suits look a lot better. And yeah, I still stand by that. I think that these golden suits are the best golden suits in the entire series, and honestly, probably some of the best suits in the entire series. I don't know why, but somehow, I don't know how, but they somehow made the gold actually look good for once on these suits, which is really rare for this series, and really rare in general, because I don't think gold is a very good looking color. So for one, I think they balanced all the colors here beautifully well. I think that, you know, having more on Zane's suit of the white instead of the gold was a good choice, because white and gold doesn't usually mix very well in my opinion, so having more white than gold was a good choice there. I think the weakest here is actually surprisingly Lloyd's suit. I think that for some reason, his suit just looks too like not futuristic, but it looks too much like armor instead of like a ninja outfit, and so I don't really like his suit here. I also like the shoulder pads. I keep saying, I love when they have a shoulder pad on these suits. One shoulder pad is the best. And while I think that having it on the left shoulder is definitely a little bit worse than the right shoulder, a shoulder pad is a shoulder pad. It's just a nitpick at that point. But I still think these suits look really, really good. My favorite here, surprisingly, is actually Cole's. Cole usually has like mid-tier suits, but his suit here for some reason looks really, really good. And so because of that, it's going to go in the top tier, which is Masterpiece. Okay, so after that, I think we get to the last Legacy suits, or the ones that use the Legacy mask, at least I believe, from like, you know, before Dragon's Rising, which is these suits. I actually really, really like these suits. Looking at them now, they're going to go in probably Quarter Pounder with Cheese or Masterpiece, because they're just really well designed. So first off, they effectively use the half mask, they effectively use the full mask design, but with the secondary color, it looks kind of like almost a half headband around the top, which I think is probably the best helmet design I've ever had in the series. So it's great that they did it the best here, in my opinion. Also, in general, I think that the actual the chest design here is really well done. It's kind of a combination of the more original suits where they had the double slash, and then the more newer complex suits with the more details in them. And so I think it's a really good in between, which blends the newer and the older style really, really well, and I like it because of that. Like I keep talking about, the shoulder pad is always great here, and I love a shoulder pad here. And Zane's suit specifically looks really, really good here. I don't know why I keep getting surprised, because Zane has some really, really good suits. I think it's just because in general, his suits are either really well done or kind of bad or forgettable. And so I keep getting surprised by that. But his suit here, admittedly, is really good. honestly, all the ninja suits here are really, really good. I don't have a single issue with them. I think I honestly prefer these ones to the Elemental Temple ones from Season 2. So because of that, I think that these ones are going to go into the Masterpiece tier. And this is where we get to the Dragon's Rising era of the show. So I don't actually remember much about this. I watched like 3 episodes and then I kind of forgot about it. So I'm going to try and rank them according to my memory of how I remember seeing them in the show and like remember seeing the rollout of them. So first off, we get these suits, which I believe are the flashback suits and the suits they use during the merge and soon after, before they get their merge suits. And these suits, I have to say, overall, are pretty good, but some aspects of them I either really love or I really hate. So like Lloyd's suit, for example, I think that him having tan legs, or like tan half tan legs, is a really, really bad choice. I don't think tan is a good color to go with green here. And in general, I just don't like tan as a color. And so giving Lloyd, who usually has some of the best suits, if not the best suits in the series, tan legs, completely, like, this is one of his least favorite suits in my opinion because of that. Nia's suit, for example, here. I don't like the fact that they got rid of the maroon again. And then instead they gave her, you know, the more gray and light blue with no maroon at all, like they did for the, you know, the movie and then right after the movie. I think it's a bad choice. But I like the, you know, the detail of the waves on the suit. So that's because, yeah, it's just a cool detail to have there. Zane's suit, for example. I think that Zane's suit overall is kind of a mess, but I like the ideas around it. I think that having it be more like a robe, where it's like he is fully metallic underneath and it's like a robe on top, is a really good idea, but I just don't like it because it gives him silver arms when the rest of his suit is white. And so I don't think his suit is actually that good because of it. It's one of the better Zane suits, but it's not one of the better suits from the entire series. Other than that, they're like Kai, Jay, and Cole's suits I like a lot. I'd say that Cole's is my 3rd favorite, Kai's is my 2nd favorite, and then this is probably my 2nd or 3rd favorite Jay design in the entire series. I love how they gave him a yellow secondary color. I don't know how they haven't done that before. It's honestly a genius move that I don't know why they didn't do it before, but it looks really good here. And I think that having him have a yellow sleeve with a yellow headband is a really good detail that kind of distinguishes him more from Nia. And so I don't know why they didn't make Nia have a more blue design when Jay could have had a more, you know, a more yellowy blue design. So I don't know why they didn't do that, but Jay's suit here is still incredible. Overall, I think that these suits are kind of meh, but the details in them are good enough that they definitely carry them up the list. I'm not sure I'd have them over the island suits or the season 8 and 9 suits, but I would definitely have them over some of the other stuff in this tier, so they're definitely going to go in the quarter pounder with cheese. So after this, we get to the first, you know, true suits of this new, you know, Dragon's Rising era with the merge suits. So let's talk about the merge suits. So first off, I will not be judging Soro and Aaron's designs from these suits specifically because it was kind of establishing the fundamentals, you know, of these suits, the suit designs that they would use later, you know what I mean? So I won't be judging them that much. But these suits overall I think are pretty decent. I don't love them, but I don't hate them. For one, I think that the chest piece and the leg pieces here, these are really good, you know, bases for these suits. I think that it kind of does a great job of balancing, you know, a symbol or like a letter with, you know, the robe look with, you know, the more stylized look that the later seasons of this show are going for. I think that these are probably some of my favorite, you know, just like base chest and leg pieces since honestly like season 6, like 5 or 6. So I really like those because of that. I think that Aaron's here is okay. I'm not a fan of it. I think his symbol is a little bit too small here, but I think it's okay, and I like how it has the detail of having a dragon on it, which I think ties back to, it goes, you know, back to the themes of this show being all about dragons, but also kind of goes back to the original suits, you know, because the original, like, suits that weren't the training ones had dragons on them, so that's a good detail. I will say here, Sora, whatever her name is, I don't remember her name. I do not like her suit designs here, or in the other suits I've seen, though, of her, so she definitely pulls us down a little bit. I just don't like her suit designs. They're kind of meh, whatever. They're not very good. And then we get to the merge like helmet mask pieces, and I have no clue how I feel about these helmet pieces, because on one hand they're kind of ugly, and they're kind of meant to be ugly. They're kind of meant to look less like, you know, like traditional, like, you know, ninja helmets, like masks, and more like, you know, travelers robes on, you know, travelers gear. And so I think they achieved that look well, and I will say they grow on you very quickly. When I originally saw these, I was like, ew, those are ugly. But I've actually grown to kind of enjoy them, so I don't actually hate them as much as I used to. And I think it's really interesting how they can have, like, you know, the half mask piece be like bigger and like the hood piece is smaller. I think that's a good detail. And because of that, I don't actually hate these suits. I think they're well designed suits. They're just not my favorite suits. And so because of that, we're gonna go into the fresh J's tier. I think I would rather have these suits over these weird like celebration golden suits. So because of that, I think I'm gonna move down the season 12 suits, the Prime Empire ones. Prime Empires are gonna be an unseasoned mashed potatoes now, and then we're gonna move the Master of the Mountain ones down a little bit. We're gonna put these celebration ones, the 10th anniversary gold ones, down a little bit, and then we're gonna put the first edition merge suits right above those, in between the the celebratory golden suits and then the season 4 jungle suits. Okay, so now we have like I think they're technically the second edition merge suits. They could be the climber suits. I'm not sure what the name is. Doesn't really matter. Now for some reason, only the 5 original ninjas get this. The Nia doesn't get one. Sora, whatever her name is, doesn't get one, and Aaron doesn't get one. I don't know why. I haven't watched the show up to this point. I need to. I'm catching up, but I don't know why as the moment of filming. So I don't know why, but I will say these suits. I actually really like these suits, surprisingly. So first off, I think the base is definitely a downgrade from the first edition merge suits. The base is not as strong here. I think that the details overall are just less interesting. Like, it's kind of just climbing stuff and ropes, which I personally don't like as details on the ninja suits. I never really have. So the base is definitely less interesting. But they introduced new shoulder pads here. And I actually surprisingly like these shoulder pads. I don't think they're the best shoulder pads. Like I said, I don't think anything's ever going to beat the single shoulder pad. Nothing will ever beat that. But these ones get pretty close to that. I really like these ones. They look like armor. They're kind of bulky, but they kind of look cool in my opinion. They look pretty good, you know what I mean? So I actually kind of like those. Also, I'm just gonna call it the merge mask. The merge mask design here is a lot better than the first edition was, because those ones were really really bulky and big for some reason, and they just didn't look as good in my opinion. They definitely grow on you, but they don't look like necessarily the best immediately. And so I think that, that's kind of a downside of those ones. But these ones, I will say, I actually immediately like these ones. I had no issue with them originally. So I actually really like these ones. So because of that, these are going to be higher than the other ones. Another good detail I like about these is they introduced the primary secondary kind of style that they've been doing with the masks for most of the show now onto these masks. And I think it looks really good because the bottom, the bottom half, which is the more traditional half mask piece, is the secondary, and then the helmet piece, like the hood piece, is the primary, which I think looks really good here. Also, Nia's suit here embraces the blue finally, because I believe at this point in the show, Jay's his memory's wiped or he's evil or something. I haven't caught up yet, like I keep saying, so I don't know why, but she's allowed to finally fully embrace the blue look, and so because of that, this is her best suit design in 4 or 5 seasons, probably 6 seasons even probably. So I really like her suit here. Also, Zayn's suits have gotten a lot better throughout the show, and his suit here is probably one of his better suits in the entire show. So because of that, I really like his suit here. Yeah, I don't know. I really like his suit here. So because of that, we're gonna put these probably right. I don't know. I'm gonna rearrange these probably actually, but I'm gonna put these right. I'm gonna put these right above the first edition merge suits for now, and we can go back and re-rank them at the end of this. And then we get to the final suit. Yes, my friends, we have made it to the final suits. It's been a long journey. Don't know how long this video is. Probably too long, to be honest. But we finally made it to the final suits here. And I believe these are the pilot, mech, whatever suits from, I believe this is going to be season 3 or 2. I think they might have been in season 2 of Dragon's Rising. Not sure, but these suits are not bad, actually. I kind of like these suits. I believe it's the first time since, season 1 of the Dragon's Rising suits with the merge helmets that they've actually gone back to a more traditional helmet piece. And I think that they do a pretty good job here. These definitely are not the best suits in the entire series, not even close. And they're pretty forgettable suits, but they have details in them I really like. So for one, I think that having the base of these suits is pretty good. I think that the base is pretty good. The secondary colors are pretty good here. The details are, nice, and they give off vibes of, tech and mechs, which is very good. I think that I don't know why, but only half of them have the shoulder pad, which is a huge negative. It doesn't feel like they're very, well put together sometimes, from what I've seen at least, and so because it's kind of a negative. But these suits are just well designed. I think that having, again, Nia's suit is one of her better suits in a long time here. Zayn's suit design is starting to get a lot more consistent and starting to get a lot better, in fact. I think that out of the new era, his suits are probably some of my favorite consistency-wise. And then Cole's suits have always been really good. but they got an upgrade, and they've gotten a lot better here, especially with the more orangey look, and so I really, really like that. I don't know why Aaron or Sora or whatever, like Sora, don't have one here. Don't know why they only have one suit so far, but these suits are really, really good. They're well-designed suits. I just don't love them. But I would definitely take these suits over the Season 3 and 4, half-mask suits. But I wouldn't take them over the Master of the Mountain suits. So I think they're going to go in the mid-tier. Okay, and now that we've ranked all the suits, I can kind of look at where I put all the suits, and I can decide if I want to change some of the rankings. And looking at it now, I definitely can't say. This list is really top-heavy. The Ninjago suits are really good consistently, but there's some, stuff I want to change about this, like, ranking in general, so I think I'm going to mess with that. So let's just mess with it real quick. So at the very top, I'm going to move this mic closer so we can hear me. At the very top here, we got the Season 6 suit and the suits, and then followed by, I believe these are the island suits, right? Yes, those are the island suits. That's a good ranking right there. And then these are going to be the legacy suits from, the newer seasons. I think these are the Season 13 legacy suits to be specific, which, I agree with that ranking. I like that one a lot. The Season 5 is after that, and then we get to these golden ones. I like that. What are these ones? I think that having 5 in the top tier is enough, so I'm going to move down this suit down to here in a second. So, quarter pounder with cheese. Yeah, I agree with the... Yeah, okay. I like having the Elemental Temple ones there. The Season... Yeah, I like those suits a lot. Those are good suits. Do I like these suits more? I kind of like these ones more, honestly. The Season 8 and 9 suits are kind of like a throw-up. They're kind of the same suits to me, but they definitely belong in this top tier. They're really well-designed suits. Those are the Legacy half-mask suits. Those look better, like I said. The Legacy suits with the new style always tend to look, a little bit better, different in my opinion. Those are the merged flashback suits. Those are good. That's fine. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to move down. This might be controversial. Don't care, though. I think I'm going to move down the original, No, didn't mean to. I'm going to move down the original, Season 1 and 2 suits, with Jay with, the metallic shoulder one. Those are going to be moved down to fresh Jays. And we're going to shift all of these over just a few slots. We're gonna move all these over. Actually, I'm going to move that one down, and then I'm also going to move down the... I think I'm gonna keep the Day of the Departed suits up here because those are good suits. But I'm gonna move down the Dragon's Rising flashback suits, like when it happened. I'm gonna keep those. I'm gonna move those suits down to fresh J's, along with the Season 1, 2 metallic arms. Like I said, I think that the Season 13 suits, the Master of the Mountain ones, can go down to the mid tier. Along with these golden suits, so we can just move all these around, because these are what? Are these the original merge suits? Yeah, those merge suits can stay there. That's the first edition merge suits. Second edition, I agree, should go right there. Those are going to be the jungle suits, which I don't want over those. That's going to be those suits. So, I'm going to put these right. What are these suits? Oh, I believe these are the season... What season are these? Oh, the Season 11 base suits. The base Season 11 suits are honestly so bad they can go down to mid-tier. So we're going to move... Okay. This organization stuff, I like... Okay, this feels better ranking-wise. I'm not great still, but we can accept it. So then we're going to move down... Honestly, the more and more I look at the Season 12 suits, I know that I think I said that the more and more I look at them, the more and more I like them. It's starting to change. I honestly don't like the Season 12 suits at all that much. I get that they're different and they're meant to be different, but I don't think that they're different necessarily, and so these are going to be bumped down to the My Mental Health tier. Other than that, though, are these the original suits? Yeah, those are like the Season 1 suits, the trainee suits, which I agree with. Those ones are bad. I would take those over these two, so I'm going to move these down a little bit more. So... we're going to put these over those. Okay, cool. Like that. That's fine. And then I think that's a fine ranking, yeah. These ones are going to go down here next to the water. I don't like the Season 12 and 13, like the special suits where it's like, Prime Empire suits and then the scuba diving suits. They look unique and they're good for what they are, but I don't think they're good Ninjago suits, you know what I mean? So I don't like them that much. And then I think that I'm going to move down the Season 3 suits, because I don't like the Season 3 suits at all. I think, much like the Season 3 is very disappointing for the show in general. And so the Season 3 suits can go in the bad tier, but they can go at the very top of that tier, right about there. So yeah, that ranking is pretty good right there. So that's the final ranking of the list. I don't know. We're gonna put it right here behind me on the green screen, hopefully. So hopefully I don't look too much like an idiot with no green screen on. But yeah, you know, this is the list. It's a pretty good list. You know, I made the list. I hope I like my own list. Tell me if you disagree. Tell me if you don't disagree. I don't really care. I do not really care what you think about my list. I'm pretty happy with this list. And so, you know, we're gonna see where Ninjago goes from here. I think that overall the direction they're going with the suit design is pretty good. I think that they have some issues with the suit design, but like not like too many issues, and so I think they can definitely fix them. And season 3 of Dragon's Rising comes out soon, which looks pretty good, and it's gonna have the return of Jay, which is good because I don't know if you noticed there with the merged suits, Jay's missing from all of them because he's just missing in the show, and so hopefully he comes back soon with, you know, a good suit. He had my favorite suits in the series. Hopefully he comes back, and yeah, with that, here's the tier list. Here's me.